Hi everybody, Nick here. I got a review for you today of a knife that's taking the knife-making world by storm. That's your Kizer Cutlery Gemini, designed by Ray Laconico. And it's a really interesting knife, and it's got a lot of good things going for it. So, first off, a note on Kizer. Kizer Cutlery is a relatively new company in the knife-making world. It's a Chinese company. They make all their knives in China, but they're doing their best to make really high-quality knives in China and beat the big guys on value. Use the cheaper cost of manufacturing with good tolerances to produce a knife that's unbeatable at the price. And that's pretty evident here. I've had a Kizer before. It was this guy. I've shown it in a few videos, but never done a review because it's discontinued. But it's a really great frame lock flipper kind of thing. And that's kind of what they've done again here, is they've made a great frame lock flipper that's pretty damn cheap, all things considered. So the good, the bad, and the ugly. Actually, first, another thing. This knife has been modified. The blade itself has been acid stonewashed, which means that it's a little darker. The regular finish should look something more like this. The scales have been acid stonewashed a little bit, I think, in titanium, and then the hardware on the regular one is blue rather than silver. But functionally, it should be just as good, if not a little worse, as the production model. And so everything I say in my review should hold for the production. Good. The good on this knife is that it is technically really, really well done. And what I mean by that is, like, as a mechanical object and as something that is manufactured, they've done an incredible job here. The fit and finish is pretty damn good. It's not perfect, but it's pretty damn good. So to give you an example, the action on it is incredible. Listen to this. Wow. That's a damn good flipper, and I like me some titanium flipper frame locks. But this has a perfect detent. Even relative to some things like your Graham Razel Mid-Tech, which is a great flipper, or your Grimsmo Norseman, which is the best flipper, I think, period. It's doing pretty damn good. This is not a Norseman, but, flipping action-wise, it's a solid 85% of one. At $160 for a production knife versus $560 for a custom. Something to keep in mind there. Other things. It's got a lock bar insert in here. I don't know if you can see it, but it uses a little chunk of steel to touch the blade, and that also provides an over-travel stop, which is not a necessary thing, but it's a nice thing. That prevents you from sliding the scale too much this way. Sliding the lock bar. So that's nice, and that means that there's absolutely no lock stick, and lock stick is the main thing I can diss on the Graham Mid-Tech Razel here for. It's a little sticky. It's got a titanium backspacer here, which is impressive. A lot of companies would have done G-Tan or plastic or something back here, but they went full TI and they finished it nicely. And the scales are nicely contoured. Contoured titanium is not cheap. That's one of the things that makes the Spyderco Sleesh buoy so expensive. And they've done it here in a $170 knife. So overall, the action is really, really, really good for the price. The fit and finish is really good for the price. And, everything else, they're doing it right. And so that's really, really nice. Oh, one other thing to point out. I had thought that this was a proprietary pivot, because a lot of Kizers have done that in the past. But in the middle here is just the Torx, so you can open and close it. And actually, that brings up one other issue. This knife, when you fully crank down the pivot, is still smooth. This pivot is cranked down and Loctited. And that's a sign of quality in my mind. If you can have a knife that's really locked down and still very, very smooth, that's a really good thing. So I like that a lot. So the good is that it's a technically really well done knife. It's beautifully manufactured, and it's just fit and finish wise spectacular. The bad on this knife, a couple of things. First and foremost, in my mind, is the clip. The clip looks like somebody decided, oh, this is a great knife design there, Ray Laconico. Oh, but you forgot the clip. It's okay, we'll put one on. And that's kind of what this clip feels like. It's a we'll put one on. The rest of the knife is beautifully contoured. This clip is, just there. It's short. It's not particularly stout, and I feel like I could spring it pretty easily. That's kind of the crappiest feel-wise part of this knife, is the clip, and it just doesn't fit the design well. They really could have put a little bit more effort into this clip, and, if it made it $175, okay, whatever. But that was really disappointing, because it also hurts the ergonomics. This is not a really ergonomic knife for me. The clip really digs in, particularly this part here, really digs into your hand as you're using it, and it's just not quite wide enough for being well done. So ergonomically speaking, I'm not a big fan of this knife particularly, and that's why this isn't going to stick around in my collection. It's just not a knife I feel great using, and I've got knives I do. Another bad thing for this is the blade. The blade is 3.125 inches, which is a little silly to me. That bugs me, because there are a lot of places in a lot of states where 3 inches is the legal limit. And this is a 3-inch knife, and this is a 3.125-inch knife. You're not getting a whole lot more cutting surface out of your 1.25 inches. And you're losing a part of your market. So they've made a blade that is just big enough to be illegal, but not big enough to be meaningfully better. And again, that's frustrating. And frankly, the blade shape itself doesn't do it for me. It's a lot of belly, a high point. I just don't really... The blade just ain't there for me. So that's a little ding. And then finally, the other thing to point out is that the warranty just isn't great. I beat on Benchmade all the damn time for their pricing because it's insane, but one of the things you get for that insane price is good warranty work. Kizer doesn't have that. You probably can send back one of their knives for a warranty repair. On their website, they're very specific. You cannot disassemble the knife, you cannot misuse the knife, and I get the impression that that's just not there. And you might have to be sending it to China if you can do that. So don't buy this knife expecting to have a good warranty on it. Maybe they're getting better with it, but in the past it's just been, you buy it, and if it works, great. If it doesn't work, well, such is life. You got a great deal. So that's something to consider relative to American manufacturers or other manufacturers with better warranty. Then finally we come around to the ugly, and that's just kind of the design in general. Now, Ray Laconico is the designer here, and he's made some really excellent knives in the past and some of his customs and whatnot, but this one really kind of leaves me cold, design-wise. And even, my girlfriend, I showed this to her just as a, what do you think? Because it's always kind of interesting. And she said, the handle is just really boring. And that's kind of true. I think the entire knife, although technically perfect, is kind of boring. And that's a little sad. So, ergonomically, it's not quite there. The blade shape ain't quite there. This is a technically incredible knife that was let down by a design, particularly with the clip, but elsewhere, that's just not that great. It may be a very, very good knife for you, and if you love the design, I'm not going to dispute your taste. But for me, the design just isn't functionally that great, and aesthetically that great either. I like with the dark stonewash, it makes it look more interesting, but unless you really like the design, that's kind of a problem. So anyways, in terms of overview, at some level, I agree. This may be, in terms of price versus fit and finish, this may be the best production knife of the year, of 2015, that is. I don't have trouble believing that, because they've done an incredible technical feat in finishing and dialing in the action and all of that, and making a knife this smooth for $170. I won't argue with it there. From an engineering standpoint, this is a damn good knife. From a design standpoint, though, it's let down because the clip isn't great, and the design itself and the size of the blade and the shape of the blade just isn't where it is. So if you like the design, for whatever reason, then do this. This is a great knife. But if you don't, the technical stuff is great, but I think you should wait for Kizer to do something else that's really interesting too. Because if they keep this up, my God, they're going to be doing some incredible things in a couple of years. So that's where I land. I hope this has been helpful. I'm not going to say it's a gem just because of the design, but it's very clear to me that Kizer is capable of cranking out some gems. And once they get, designs that are a little bit better than this, my God, it's going to be a force to be reckoned with. And if I was Spyderco and Benchmade particularly, and I saw them shipping knives with this fit and finish for this price, I'd be a little scared too. Have yourself a wonderful rest of your day, and bye now.